make it easier for people to like search you out straight away. Because the deal is, if you pull your name and it's searched out and it's not there, that might be an issue. So your LinkedIn URL so that people can find you out straight away. So please, just 2 seconds, and we'll do that. So we have our keynote speaker here in our midst. While we write our names, we have our keynote speaker in our midst. Thank you very much for joining us, Ms. Chinenye Ajayi. So in a few minutes, I'll be reading our bio, and then we can get started. Thank you very much for joining us. So Ms. Chinenye Ajayi is an energy professional. She's a versatile commercial lawyer with over a decade of experience and is currently a managing associate and team lead, power and infrastructure practice at Chinenye Ajayi, where she provides legal and business advisory services to clients within the energy sector, particularly in the renewable energy space. She's an entrepreneur who is also passionate about energy transition and achievement of the SDG 7. This includes education, training, mentorship, and economic empowerment towards promoting affordable energy access and energy security. Please, I need to see our reactions. This is a lot. A whole decade of experience. Amongst other volunteer activities within the energy sector, Chinenye is the Vice President, Project at the Energy Institute, and at the Young Professionals Network. She's also a recognized speaker across various platforms. So please, let's give it up for Chinenye Ajayi as she gives our keynote speech. Thank you so much for joining us, ma. We're really glad to have you here. Please, you can unmute to speak now, ma. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can. We can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. Is it afternoon or is evening? Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How are you doing?
Evening,
so can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. All right. So my name is Chinenye Ajayi, like I've been introduced. It's a Saturday evening and I've been all over the place. So forgive all the scattered hair and all of that. Yeah. So well done, by the way, to the SQ. Is that correct? Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes,
TELSQ.
Yes, TELSQ.
All right. I mean, amazing thing you guys are doing. You know, I would just say this is something that I never had the privilege of experiencing or having while I was in school. So if you're a member of TELSQ, I want you to count it a very big privilege, right? So let me just get right into it because I know you have you're pressed for time, but building a career. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
Okay. All right. So building a career after school, rather building a career after school is totally different from. Right, it's a different ball game from the school experience, and that's one of the things you must bear in mind. I want to believe that we have a mix of both people in school and out of school, perhaps, but I just wanted to know that there are two different things altogether. Particularly in my days when I was in school, so it just means that you need to actually prepare for the outside world while you are in school, and it's a privilege that you have that. Well, all I say, unfortunately, I never had while I was in school. While I was in school, all I knew was just my books, class, perhaps get church, back to the hostel. My life was streamlined. I never really focused on, being versatile and improving my skills on other areas while I was in school. But of course, thankfully, I had an opportunity of getting out and learning that. But I would have, probably done better if I had the opportunity that you all have now. And I want to say, again, like I said, not because these opportunities at that time never existed, they did exist, but I was ignorant. So ignorant of those opportunities. And I believe there are a lot of people are also in various schools across Africa that they don't even know about, and a platform like this as TELSQ. So again, it's important. Knowledge is very critical and it's one of your most valuable assets. So you must place as one of the, as we go on in this session or in this program, I want you to pay attention to knowledge. Knowledge is worth more than thousands of dollars in your account. And I can tell you that because knowledge increases your value. Knowledge increases your value, and money measures value. So let me take that again. Knowledge increases your value because the more you learn, the more valuable you become, and the more valuable you become, the more people will be able to pay for what you have. Okay, so value knowledge. That's exactly what I want to say. So let me give you a quick scenario. Imagine a phone, a very basic Nokia phone that can basically just place a call, and imagine another phone, similar phone, but an additional feature has been added. For every time a new feature is added to that phone, that's why you find iPhones and other phones, upgrading every year, because for every time a new feature is added to that phone, it increases its value. And as the value is increasing, the more expensive it becomes. So, and that's how it actually applies to you. So it's important that as you build your career, you build yourself, focus on building yourself, focus on developing yourself, not just academically, but also in other spheres of life, so that you are a complete package, like we say, complete and perfect, lacking nothing, right? So that you are able to increase your value. A lot of people are struggling for money, hustling and hustling. But hustling is, well, I don't believe in hustling, but yeah, I mean, it's good to work hard. That's what I mean. But there is much more value in improving yourself in terms of knowledge, right? And another very important thing that you need to bear in mind as you go on is the need to have clarity. Which is something I also never paid attention while I was in school. What do you want to do with your life? Where do you see yourself in next 5-10 years? And you're not too young. In fact, I tell my kids, you're not too young to have clarity as to what you want to be, what you want to do now. Because once you have clarity, your speed is faster. When you have clarity, you are not all over the place. Okay, so it's important you have clarity as to what you want to do. Now, you might not have the entire picture, like how it's going to all play out, but at the very least, right, have clarity. And what this means, the moment you have clarity, say, I want to go from here. Okay, I want to get to the let me use an instance. I want to get to VI, for instance. That's my destination. Now, once it's clear in my mind that I want to get to VI, the next time I begin to ask myself, what are the things I need to do? What are the things I need to get me to VI? They begin to plot your graph. Okay, I need to take a bus from here, or I need to take a flight, depending on however route is available for you at that time. But one thing is important is that you know where you're going to. But when there is even my favorite book here says, the vision, people without vision actually perish. Once you don't have vision, you don't have clarity. So it's important at this, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? And again, I also say, once you have clarity on what you want to do, and one of the things you should try to do is look for someone that looks like the future you see. Okay, there is nothing new under the sun. Whatever it is you're dreaming of, whatever is that picture you have in your mind or your heart that you want to be, right? There's somebody that's already looking like that, right? So find them, watch their track record. What are the things that they do? What were the lessons that they learned? What were the trainings that they took? I mean, I'm just trying to share how I actually developed myself over time, because at a point I got dissatisfied where I was, and I wanted to be more because I know I could do more. But then I asked myself, what do I want to be? And then I began to look for people that, they don't even need to be your direct mentors. There's no point even chasing them up and down like, I will be my mentor. It's good to have mentors if you can and if you want. But I mean, it's good to have mentors, right? But I'm just trying to say, not everybody can really be your mentor. But when you find the future you see, check them out on LinkedIn. What kind of trainings have they gone through? What kind of schools did they attend? What kind of events? Follow their track record, and with that you can then have an idea of what you want to be. Okay. And then another thing I also want to point out to you as you prepare for the workplace, as you prepare for your career, is that there is no perfect workplace. If you want to get into business, there is no perfect business. Trust me, it does not exist. Okay, I used to think, okay, and this is one of the things that make people jump from one job to another, jump from one business to another. Even if one office or one company is good in this area, they may not be good in the other. What is most important is what you want. What do you consider as priority? So if your priority, for instance, developing my skill and my capacity, and I'm in a particular organization that gives me that, some other things might not be as great, but that is my priority. So you need to have clarity. What do I want to? Okay. And then just don't begin to chase things that just follow the trend. They say, okay, this particular company pays well, oil and gas pays well, that's why I'm going there. That's a very wrong reason to choose a career or track. Money is good. I like money, trust me. But what I'm just saying is that shouldn't be That shouldn't be your focus. Okay, and also as you prepare to transit, to career, and also if you're already in the career and you're already building your profession or your career, one of the things you also need to do or note is that you need to be very strong and resilient. Oh God, things people are going to push you. You're going to meet different kinds of people, bosses, characters, behavior in all shapes and sizes. You must be someone that's very mentally, physically, emotionally, and I dare say spiritually strong. Like, you have to have stamina. Okay, you must not be one that things that toss you up and down. Like, one of my strategy when I get into a place is understand the people, understand the bosses you're working with. Right? Look, there's nobody. I know some bosses can be very bad. I'm not taking that away, but you can actually devise a way where you make that person that seems seemingly difficult your best friend. Get into a place with a mind to survive, no matter what happens in a place like that. Okay, as you get in there, focus. Okay, this particular boss, this is how he likes, or how he or she likes her stuff to be done. Then do it that way. Then you find this other boss, this is how he or she likes, then do it that way. Just, there's no one size fits all for these things. But one of the things is that you must make up your mind. You're not want to be tossed up and down. That I've seen people that say, I don't like the way this boss spoke to me, I'm resigning. Really, you're going to keep resigning every now and then, because if you meet different types. So what is what what you want, right? And be ready to stand through the challenges, even if it might not be conducive. Okay, moving on quickly. Life is in phases, all right, and you must understand the different phase of your life. Okay, particularly as ladies, I don't, I mean, it's different for everybody, but I just want you to understand that there are different phases of your life. Like picture your life as you would have, like I said, which is why I talked about vision and clarity from the beginning. Then know at what point do I need to move from here to here. So for instance, I used to work in an organization. I mean, I was okay, it was fine. I mean, I was treated well, I got promoted really quickly. But the time came, I just knew that I was bigger than here. Like, I need to move from here. Not because the boss was not because the boss was bad. He was a good guy. I mean, he was paying me the best he could afford, right? It wasn't his fault that he wasn't paying me as much, but I just knew that I need to move from here. I need to know those. You need to keep track of those faces. Like, I'm done from here, I need to move on. And when you're leaving, you're not feeling bad because you've left. You're not going to have any form of regret, because your time is up from this particular place. And that's why some people, they may be in practice after a while, they need to transition to business. It can be anything, but just know your faces. Know your faces. And again, be ready to take no's. I received 1,000 no's. I don't know, I don't think it's up 1,000, but a lot of no's. I mean, so a lot of people will tell you no's, but just whatever it is, never give up on your dreams and your visions. For the fact that someone else didn't do it or they couldn't do it does not mean you can't do it, all right? And again, have a penchant for excellence, guys. Have a penchant for excellence. Whatever it is you're asked to do, no matter how small or minute, give it your best at all times, all right? And make sure that you are not one known for mediocrity. Give it your best. Your best might not deliver the results. Yes, but satisfy yourself that at any time someone gives me a task to do at work, and even if you're volunteering, even if you're asked to smile the best. Do you understand? So what I'm saying is that give it your best. Even if, like I said, even if your best doesn't deliver the results, learn from your mistakes and try again. But just satisfy yourself that there's never a time you're asked to do something and you render anything less than your best at any particular time. Okay, then and finally, and in closing, I want you to have a large heart. Okay, dream big, like really, really dream big. You are, and this is very important because sometimes some of us are from different backgrounds. Probably your parents weren't doing so well. Don't let your background limit your mindset, which is why it's important that you expose yourself a lot, have the right kind of friends, attend events, like do things that expand your mind beyond the confines of your background. Okay, expand your mind, your expectations, your dreams. Picture yourself doing great things and begin to take steps. Let me give you an instance. I remember when I began my journey into the energy sector, particularly, I remember I started applying for volunteer opportunities, and I came across a conference, and I just thought they said there was an opportunity for mentor mentees things, and I applied to be a mentee. I was still learning now, so I applied to be a mentee, and I got into that place, man. I saw women, ladies doing big things, and they're like, God, when am I going to get to this point? When am I going to sit on this stage, this very big stage? I'm not representing anyone. Like, someone actually invited me myself, and I'm speaking. It felt like it was going to be like forever. But trust me, 1 year after, exactly 1 year after, the next year the event was holding, I was invited as a speaker. Trust me. And I didn't even think about it. It was when I was like, really, I remember I was here 1 year ago, thinking and imagining which day will I be. And okay, just imagine I never attended those conferences. My mind wouldn't have, I wouldn't have even dreamt about it, let alone of wishing that I was in that place. So again, have a large heart, be bold, put yourself out there. Well, for someone, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I try, I do a lot of write-ups and all of that. Not because it's the most convenient thing for me. I have 1,001 things to do. But the truth of the matter is that if you don't put yourself out, nobody will. And I like to say again, you don't have to be an expert for you to put yourself out. That's the truth. You don't have to be. In fact, for me, by writing constantly, I've built knowledge. So do you know why? Let me tell you how it works. For every time I want to write, I'm compelled to go and research. And for every time I research, I learn more. Do you understand? So sometimes I write, not necessarily to write, but just my way of improving myself on a daily basis. That's just a strategy for me. So enlarge your vision, because again, the size of your vision will determine, the kind of resources that flow to you. And I like to give this biblical example. The woman that the prophet told to go get plenty of bowls to fill water in it, right? She was pouring the water, and the water stopped running as soon as containers were out. Okay, trust me, there were more containers, should have had more water. So it means the more capacity you have in your mind to learn, to grow, the more you can actually become. Okay, so in that and the final note, guys, it's a pleasure to be here. And for the rest of the session, please pay attention. Pay attention. Give value to learning, even if you need to even pay. Do you understand? Pay. It is worth it. Give priority to learning. Give priority to pain. Give priority to going through challenges. It only makes you stronger. Okay. And I wish everyone the best, and have a good time for the rest of the evening. Pleasure to be here. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that amazing session, Chinenye. Thank you so much. I've really written a lot. So please, let's react in the comment section if you had an amazing time in this session. We talked about clarity. She spoke about vision. She spoke about not putting money as the core of what you want to do. And she spoke about having a large heart in all of this. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your presence. So since we don't have any questions in the comments at the moment, please, if you have any question at any point in the program or even now, please drop your questions in the chat box. We'll be happy to take them. So quickly, we'll be moving into the next session we have. Like we all know, this is the Career Fest, and we'll be having various panel sessions. But for today, we'll be having our very first panel session. And please put a reaction in the comment section if you're very happy for this, if you're excited to have this. And we'll be having the very first moderator for the first panel session. So I'll be introducing a moderator for the first panel session in person of Temilola Adetona. So now, one law firm of Chinenye Ajayi LP, where it provides advisory services across energy transactions, mining and metals, infrastructure development, public-private partnerships, and project financing and development. He also serves as the chairman of the board of directors of the Exceptional Law Students Quarters. So please, let's give it up for him. Please, I'll need us to react in the comment section as he joins us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Taye, for your moderation thus far. Thank you once again for joining us, guys. We have spent weeks and months trying to put together this event, and it's been a very rewarding experience, and particularly rewarding in this moment to see how many of you have tuned in to listen to the seasoned professionals that we've been able to invite to this event today. So without further ado, as promised, we have a number of seasoned professionals in our midst today, each of whom have years of experience working on market defining transactions in tier one law firms. Some of the transactions that you see or hear about across different um, key sectors in the economy, these guys were behind it. So it's very important to try to like briefly introduce our panelists. They both have an interesting repertoire of experience, but to keep it as brief as possible, we have with us this evening Etido David. Etido David is a senior associate with the corporate advisory, private equity, mergers and acquisition, and mining practice of Doma and Belo Sage UUBO, where he advises local and international clients on a regular basis. Etido is also the co-founder of Green Ridge Foundation, Nigeria's first community economic development organization, facilitating the delivery of pro bono corporate legal advisory services to MSMEs by leveraging the use of technology. Etido, in the course of his career, has also been a member of the NBA Remuneration Committee, which recommended the revised scale of charges and the minimum wage for lawyers. Quite laudably, Etido was recognized by the ESQ Legal Awards as one of the 40 under 40 rising star lawyers in Nigeria. So we would appreciate a virtual round of applause for Etido David. Thank you. We also have with us on this first panel, Ibiyemi Ajiboye. Ibiyemi is an associate at the law firm of Banwo and Igodalo, a tier one law firm in Lagos, Nigeria. Ibiyemi's practice areas include corporate and commercial law, company secretarial and regulatory compliance, mergers and acquisition, and private equity. Ibiyemi was recently ranked as a rising star lawyer by the IFLR 1000. And for those who don't know, this is a global legal directory in local parlance, a star boy by all means and metrics. So if Etido and Ibiyemi are here, we would appreciate if you could just put on your videos as we start the conversation. Are we,
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
good evening, Ibiyemi. We can hear you clearly. Thank you
Okay.
for coming. So we're
You're
just going to
welcome.
give 1 second to see if Etido can unmute.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So we've been able to confirm that Etido is currently having some network issues. So we'll start our conversation with the DME whilst we um await Etido joining us. So Ibiyemi, good evening. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Good evening
I
once
have a
again.
lot of friends in your law firm, and
Oh,
I've heard a lot about you, and I'm about to find out why, as well as everyone here. So let's get into it.
no
So I think
problem.
a good place to start is to ask. But okay, so before I get into the question, the thing is, with law students, many a times right out the gate from uni or law school, people are not very familiar with practice areas, with what opportunities are there for them when they move into law firms, what they want to specialize in. I remember when I joined my firm, many of my many of my colleagues in my court did not have an idea of what their preference would be. So it was a real case of taste and see, right? So I guess then the question is essentially, how did you end up in your practice area or practice areas? Because you seem to be doing a lot of work across different practice areas. But like, at what point did you decide that this was going to be your niche? What influenced your career path in that regard? Over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, everyone. So, like the moderator has said, my name is Ibiyemi Ajiboye. So, for the question, that's really a good question, right? So, let me say, like everyone else, too, when I also finished law school, and fortunately, or thank God, I got employment in Bawa Nikudalo, one of the best law firm in Nigeria, right? So how I ended up in my practice area, I would say maybe two things. One is that I did not want to do litigation. That's the one. I never wanted to do litigation because if you all agree with me, we're all trained to be a litigator in a way, even both at university, law school, most of it was geared towards litigation. So I wanted a different thing. I wanted to experience a different aspect of the law, of practicing, but I did not want litigation. So thankfully, my firm gave us the opportunity when we're at NYC stage to rotate through the different practice areas. So the firm has five practice areas. We have the corporate, the CSF, corporate securities and finance. We have the litigation, arbitration. We also have the shipping and international trade, the energy, oil and gas, and then we have the intellectual property. So during your 1 year national youth course service, you be required to rotate within these five practice area at least for a period of 2 months. So I started my rotation in IP. I enjoyed IP, but I never really liked it. So I moved on to litigation. And like I said, I don't want to be a litigator. I don't want to practice as a litigation lawyer. So I did not end up there. So I moved on to energy. So maybe because of the terms and the big words in energy and oil and gas, I never really liked oil and gas. Right. So the next practice area I moved into was the CSF, corporate securities and finance. And then we had different sub teams under this practice area. And then I was assigned to private equity. So when I got to private equity, I remember the first transaction I worked on was a private equity firm, Carlyle, wanted to invest in, I know everyone know Wakana, right? So that was the first transaction I did. I started the transaction, completed it to the end. And when I finished this transaction, I said, wow, I think this is where I need to be, right? I enjoyed the transaction. I enjoyed the whole work. I know there's a lot of work in it, but I really, really enjoyed it. So Is it from the due diligence stage to the transaction document to advising on the CPs, the regulatory approvals, the condition subsequent, and even closing matters? I really, really enjoyed the process. And then it made me realize that, oh, so this is how company gets funding, apart from going to bank, apart from doing capital market, raising funds from public. So this is also another means by which companies get money. And the whole process was really, really enlightening. And thankfully, I also had colleagues that were helpful. Then I was still starting as a young lawyer. So they provided guidance. When I had difficulty or I don't understand things, I had to run to them. They would help me. They would answer my questions. So when I finished my NYC, so I did a reflection of every practice area I had stayed and worked in. And then I came to the conclusion that no, I think I need to stay in private equity, mergers and acquisition. And since then, I've never regretted doing that because, like you said, you just need to taste and see. And I've tasted it and I see that, wow, it's so great and so enlightening. So yeah, that's what I would have to say.
All right, thank you very much, Ibiyemi. I think there might be a little to share even from my experience, but before I go into that, Chinenye is still on the line. So I'd like to take the benefit of Chinenye's presence to just also ask her the same question. And yeah, Chinenye is my boss and my team lead. So I'm very curious to also understand or find out how she also ended up in her current practice area and what the journey to that decision was like for her. Chinenye, if you could grace us a bit with your response.
Hello, everyone. Such a pleasure. Trust me, I like whenever any opportunity to improve, add value to people's life. I am always happy to in a job at it. So, yeah, and so for me, I was a general lawyer. Like when I'm a general lawyer, I was just basically doing everything. I go to court, like Ibiyemi said, and I was just really doing it. And up until I'm going to share just my story, really. Up until I was doing this for up to like I think about my 8th year of call. Now I knew, okay, so of course I've heard about power, right? Power specifically. Of course, no energy is a large space. I've heard about power, and I was never okay. I think I did the one transaction. I liked it, but I wasn't sure if I had the expertise at the time. But again, I just began to think about it, and I did, and remember indicating interest that I wanted to join. So this one, my first advice to everyone is, first of all, Ibiyemi has said, he knows he didn't want litigation. So there are things that you have from from the beginning, like this is definitely not me. Okay, so those you start there with you can do the elimination from that point. Then for the others that they begin to test the waters. Because I tested different things. But when I got into power, there was something more about it. It wasn't just the transaction. There was a passion that came with it. There was a drive. Okay, and again, I can't with me. I pray about it. So I can't pray about it. And the more I prayed about it, it became very clear in my mind that this is what I wanted to do. It was more than just doing transaction. It was about the fact that I was solving a problem. I was adding value to my clients, right? And then the moment I discovered that was what I wanted to do, then I began to build capacity in that area. So I would say if you're starting out, one of the first things you need to do is at least know what you don't want to do. Please note, in my office, ask me, they'll move you around. But for the fact that you don't want to do it does not mean you shouldn't give it your best when you are asked to do it. Note that. So you don't want litigation, but they put you there. Even if you don't like it, but as you are there, make sure you do it well, because nobody's going to grade you based on, okay, it's my area of interest. Nobody's interested in your interest at the beginning level. So keep your interest to yourself. But at that point when you're your team, give it your best. And of course, as you begin to test your water, then one last thing, one of the things Ibiyemi said was get people around you that can provide you with guidance. And as you go along, begin to talk about your interests. When Temi was in my team, I think the first time before he was moved, he kept shouting, I want to come back to power. So we all knew what he wanted. So even when we had an opportunity as bosses to make decisions, like, okay, no, Temi wants to be here. So make sure you communicate your area of interest as you go, so that people around you know this is where my interest is. Okay, I hope that helps. Thank you, Temi.
Thank you very much, Chinenye. And yeah, Chinenye is very correct. For me, I think my journey is quite similar to BME's in the sense of knowing what I did not want to do and also kind of knowing what I wanted to do. Uh, in uni, I tested out everything. I did moot and mock. I did competitions on energy, on tax, etc. So I kind of had this background idea of what these things entailed. So, and I also did internships across law firms of different sizes, in-house positions, etc. So I had seen enough, at least to be able to get a sense of what opportunities were out there for me and the practice areas I would like to explore. So it was a stroke of good luck for me when I got into my current place of work. And my first rotation, because we rotate across different teams, like Chinenye said, my first rotation was with the power infrastructure team. And I was like, yeah, that's fine by me. Because I wanted to do energy. I had done multiple energy competitions, so I enjoyed it. But it wasn't all like that because, for instance, in the way my firm is, as in addition to the power work or the mining and metals, natural resources work, you would also have to do stuff like financing, infrastructure advisory, etc., and PPPs even. So these were not aspects I had considered as a student. Of course, these were not things that some of them I wasn't even exposed to as a student. So that's where the part of still doing stuff as if you were interested in it comes in. And for some of these things, I started enjoying them, really enjoying them even, such that I was very certain I wanted to be in that team. And then on the flip side of not wanting to do something, I also decided right from I think my second year of uni or third year. Times I went to court, I hated it. The first time the judge did not sit down, they told us around like 2 o'clock in the afternoon after we had waited. Was it around 1 or 2? So but in spite of that, my second rotation in my firm was with the litigation team. And I didn't let the fact that I knew, in fact, the fact that I knew I didn't want to do litigation was one reason why I had to give my all. Because I knew like this was going to be my only exposure to litigation at any point. So those 6 months were splendid. So thank you very much, Ibiyemi. Thank you very much, Chinenye, for your perspective. I believe we have Etido with us now. Etido, if you're on now, could you just say
You do.
hi to us? Okay. Would it be possible to have your camera on? If not, that's fine. Okay, excellent.
Can you
Welcome,
hear?
Etido. Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Oh wow, thank God.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. So the second thing that I would like to discuss with the panel is essentially um, aside trying to find out where you want to end up in terms of practice areas, there's also the element of where you want to end up in terms of your workplace, right? So I'll start with Ibiyemi, then go to Etido, and then Chinenye. So for Ibiyemi, I understand that you started out in a tier one law firm, right? Right out of law school. And I'm sure most law students I know really would want to replicate that same feat. Not just even law. So I think on this call we also have people that just finished law school and are trying to get into law firms at this point. So do you have any tips, advice for our audience on how they can best position themselves to get into this law firms that they're eyeing? Any expo?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, correct. So I started off from law school to BNI. So I've never worked in any place apart from BNI. So that's my only place. So I think my first advice is one, good grades. You need to have good grades. See, I can't overemphasize that. You need to have good grades, both at university level and at the law school. That's like a door opener, right? You need to have good grades. Not necessarily being a first class student, that would definitely help, but just have good grades. That would really, really best position you to get into a top tier law firm. And then another thing, another expo could also be internship and externship. Like what Temi said, he really did some internship when he was undergraduate level. That could also help you because when you do internship in a top tier law firm, by then I'm sure when you do good work, they will definitely know you. And then when you tell them you want to come back, there's definitely a level ground. You already have connections, you have networks there that you can reach out to also help. So doing internship also help. And then another thing is our advice you also submit your applications on time. You don't have to wait till the grades are out for you to submit your application. You need to submit it on time because you also need to understand that the employment cycle for this top tier law firm also matters. You understand? So you can't wait till maybe when you get your result or for you not to make the application. You can definitely update later, but definitely need to make your applications on time. And then another thing is like what Chinenye said, God factor. You also need to pray and also pray about it too. So that's my little secret about positioning yourself to a top tier law firm.
Thank you very much, Ibiyemi. So it's a similar question for Etido and Chinenye, but just to flip it so we can see what the other side of this career trajectory is. So for both Etido and Chinenye, I understand that your career trajectory has seen you move, from where you started into law firms, and in Etido's case, into to as far as becoming a senior associate in a tier one law firm. In Chinenye's case, to becoming a managing associate in a reputable tier one law firm. So we find that in my conversations with students, many of them tend to beat themselves up over not getting into a tier one law firm right out of the gate. So how would you say that your journey so far, despite not going through this same trajectory, has helped you shape the lawyer you've become, and how were you able to leverage on those experiences to then get to the impressive positions that you both are in now? So I'll take Etido first, then we move to Chinenye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ibiyemi. Moments like this, you realize there's a popular saying among Christians. I'm a Christian. I know you might not everyone here necessarily a Christian, but there's a popular saying among Christians that God takes us through our experiences so that we are able to share our testimonies and help encourage other people. And I think this is a full cycle moment because it's the question you just asked just really sits on my own life experience, up to this point. Unlike some of us, I think I really wanted to study law, and I was passionate about the profession at the inception of my early school days as law school. I know I didn't even start out having admission to study law. I started out having admission to study sociology, but I insisted that I want to study law, and so I had to take JAM again and got admission to study law. So I was very passionate. But up till my 500 level, by my 500 level, I had lost the passion. I don't know where it went to, but I lost the passion primarily because I used to see my senior colleagues on the way back from court, and I didn't like what I was seeing. And I didn't think that was to be. I didn't want to be that. So I actually started thinking of the business ideas I would do after law school, because I just didn't get the fact that so the court was close to my way to school, and for people that are familiar with Akwa Ibom, Uyo, Ibom Plaza. So most times you see your senior colleague at Ibom Plaza and you just shake them and you pass. And I'm like, okay, no, this is not it. I'm not sure this profession is what I was thinking about. So I actually didn't want to practice after school. And that was largely because I didn't know there was a part of practice called commercial practice. So was it Ibiyemi that was talking about his experience, preparing for school, doing right from school. So, because you knew what you wanted to prepare for, I didn't know what I was to prepare for. So in school, I just knew that I had to be a good student. By everyone in my house finished with from my family finished with 2-1 at least. So I knew I had to have 2-1 at least. Yeah, and then let school pass through me, you know, play politics and do those things. But it wasn't really that serious, a big deal till I went to law school. And my own moving into the corporate practice happened by, I would say, by grace. Which grace I have used it as a message to tell people, okay, mine happened by grace. Yours shouldn't be by grace. I mean, there is a way to doing stuff, so, you know, and how to get there. So I got into law school. And for law school, for me, I was serious about law school. I wanted a first class. I wanted to do very well in law school. So I was really determined to do well, but not to put myself out there anywhere and so on. So by the time I got to law school, we had a clinical legal education. Then they used to have legal clinic in law school. I don't know if they still do, but we had clinical education, and then I participated in that exams in law school then. And on the day they did announce to us that we should come back, that they're going to announce the scores for the exams, and people who didn't pass will go back and then go back to the hostel, and people who passed the exams will stay. I mean, I used to wear 3-piece suits in school, and I couldn't imagine wearing my 3-piece suits. And then you say I not pass. I'll not carry my 3-piece suits. I'll be going back to the hostel. So I was like, you know what? I'm not attending. So I actually refused to attend. And I was sleeping when my phone rang. My phone just kept ringing. And I just picked up the call and I was like, what's happening? They said DDG is looking for me. As a student, then I was so afraid. I just took my clothes. I was wearing a 3-quarter. I ran to the hall and everyone was in the hall, the full hall. Everyone wearing black and white. And then they were like, are you the one? Are you the one? I'm like, yes, I'm Etido. They say, if you don't go and change up and come back here, I had to run back to the hostel. I changed up and I came back. I was just surprised to know that I had the highest score in the in the exams, and that's how I was made head of legal clinic. That happened, and it's still in the course of school, law school. We also wrote snap tests, and I had the best in corporate law for the snap test. What this did to me is that I was forced to become very serious, you know. And then I was forced to like, oh, what's really going on? So what's this corporate practice about? Maybe I might be good at it. How come I had the best this now? How come, like, I began to rediscover myself, and I'm like, okay, maybe this law is not that bad, you know. And we had this association that came to law school, the Capital Market Association of Nigeria, the way they were dressed, the kind of cars they were driving. I was like, there's something about corporate law. So that's where I began to pick interest. And for me, I felt it was late, you know, to start doing a lot of things to put my CV in order. But I mean, those few things I got from law school, like the best in corporate law, having the best clinical exam, helped my CV. Yeah, I remember. I think I saw Adam. I think I saw Adam on this. Adam Mohammed on this call. I don't know if he's still here, but I remember that I think I got his CV and my colleague Mitch's CV to edit my first CV. Yes, and when it got to a section called competition attended, I just looked at what kind of this is. Adam had like 1 page or something. I just deleted it, the entire page from my CV because I didn't attend competitions. So I was like, oh God, how am I going to do this whole stuff? So it was a challenge to me. And I'm saying that because there are people here who would feel like, oh, I'm in my final year, I've not done a lot, you know. There are people that are really done and prepared. So even in responding to this question I had just put it in 3 categories. There are people that are prepared. I think Ibiyemi has spoken to that. You know, you need to the kind of preparations you need to do. And there are people who might just be discovering that, oh, I really need to put certain things in my life at this time. Some people discover in law school, some people discover it late in their final year, to say that is not too late. The effect of it might be that you don't get into a tier 1 law firm directly. In my case, after all my experience and all my preparations and everything, unfortunately, and one of my saddest experience, I had a 2-2 from law school, and it was very sad. It took me over a year to recover. I mean, after all the experience I had in law school, I really wanted and expected a first class, but I had a 2-2, and I was really, really sad. But then, first thing is that immediately while I was serving, I started writing articles that were geared towards corporate law. I remember at that time there was, I think there was a I think that the CBN was entered into a rand renminbi swap deal with China. I wrote about that. I wrote about Ponzi schemes as doing banking business. Yes, because that was when MMM, and I lost 100,000 naira in MMM then, all my savings, because I did immediately after law school. I sold wig and I noticed wig and gowns were produced in my state, and I started selling it. And when I wanted to go for sale, I just took all the money and put in MMM, and I lost it. So maybe that was the inspiration. I had to write about if Ponzi scheme was actually doing banking business, and I actually concluded that Ponzi scheme is doing banking business, and they need banking license. I know people that might be good in banking and finance might challenge my, or I don't know. We can talk about that. Yeah, that happened. Sorry, I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not taking too much time. Hello. Look, I think someone was unmuted there. So,
yeah, someone was unmuted.
yeah, so that happened, and I started preparing myself. You know,
already
position.
charging my power bank.
So able
Sorry,
to-
Kehinde Adegbemiro. Do you want to mute your mic, please?
yeah.
All right,
So
thank you
I
very much.
did a lot of things from that time. I started attending programs. You know, I applied for SBL conference, and luckily I was given a scholarship to attend SBL scholarship conference then. That was during Olumbide Akpata's tenure. So I started putting myself out there in the corporate space, you know, writing about it, talking about it on my LinkedIn and everything. And I started in law school. So you can imagine for someone who had said, oh, it's too late. I started mine in law school, and I needed to ramp up, you know. And for me, something exceptional I did was that I learned from friends. I just mentioned Adam, Mitch. I really learned from them. I didn't really wait to learn from mentors or go to one very senior person. Just from what my colleagues were doing, I'm like, I will not carry last. As far as this journey is concerned, whatever I see my friends doing, I will do it, and I will not carry last. You know, so that was the way I could ramp up my skill and whatever I was doing at that time, just to measure up. And I got into I would say a good firm, a very good firm. I don't want to mention the tier of the firm because I don't know if it is statutory decided or judicially decided which firm is tier 1 or tier 2. But I was in Jackson Edu, and as you all will agree with me, it's a very good. Jackson Edu is a very good firm. I would rank Jackson Edu tier 1 as a tier 1 firm. So, but I mean, if you don't want to rank it tier 1, that's on you. But on me, I rank it tier 1. After all, they took a chance on me, so I think I have the right to rank them tier 1. But yeah, I got into Jackson Edu, and I learned a lot in Jackson Edu. It was a lot of learning to do, but what I did was to immerse myself. I think at this point, I then aligned with what other speakers have said. I think I knew what I wanted to do. I think for me, it was divine providence have showed me what I'm good at. So I needed to just focus there. And I mean, it was generally corporate, but then I noticed that I loved mergers and acquisitions. So in JE, you rotate around the 3 primary departments: intellectual property, corporate, and litigation. I spent the longest time, more than normal, in corporate, and there I was involved in M&A transactions. I remember the first few transactions I worked on, it was a mess. I was thrown into documents. I stayed awake. I didn't understand. You know, when you finish working, you don't understand what you worked on. Like, you don't understand anything. It's just headache. The only thing you understand is that this thing is headache. It was confusing and everything, but I just kept going on it. What I did then that I will also encourage people to do, especially if you work in big law firms, and I noticed that across big law firms, they tend to have a lot of templates. And if you are not investigative, if you don't investigate the templates, you do a good job not knowing anything. So what I mean is that they give you a template share purchase agreement, you change the name, change the notice clause, you know, change few things, and you put it back, and they're, oh, well done, you really did well. You and I know that you don't know what you read there, you just changed those few things. But I interrogated a lot of things, and sometimes I believe once I don't understand something and I think it's a certain way, I will change it. And the seniors will, so I mean, for me, it was learning. Some people that people have different approach in firms. Mine was really learning. I wanted to really get the foundation of what I was doing. So there were times I did things that I knew this thing would be wrong, but I wanted to hear the senior tell me it is wrong and this is why it is wrong, rather than doing something that they say, oh, this is good because I got a template. So sometimes I get a template and I'll draft something from the beginning. I'm not advising you to follow my own way, but when I do that, I'll hear, why should you do this? You should never have done this. This is so wrong. This is so wrong. This is so wrong. And this is why it is wrong. And the person is frustrated with me, but at least I got that knowledge. That's my own approach because I had to learn a lot at that formative years and it worked for me. I'm not saying you should do that. I think you can balance both by using templates and asking a lot of questions. So I noticed I have colleagues that ask a lot of questions. So I don't know if there are people that are impatient to answer questions, but I enjoy when people ask a lot of questions. It shows that you really want to learn and understand what you're doing. And then after I think I was in JE for about 3 years, and I was able to pivot into UUBO, where I have grown in the last few years. Critically, what will help you pivot to the top of your career in any firm, to switch firms like that, and even moving international, is knowing what you want to do. You should be able to get niche early, not too early, but start your journey. So while you're learning generally, start your journey. Because after 3 years, no firm will be recruiting for a general role. A lot of people say, well, I want to come to UEB, I want to come go to Learning. Can you recommend me? And you say, send me your CV. You say, number 1, I worked on company secretarial matters. Number 2, I worked on energy matter. Number 3, I worked on maritime. Number 4, I worked on telecommunications. I'll just look at the CV. I'm like, okay, what do you want? Most times, people who knows that, I say, what do you want to do with your life? Because I cannot send your CV to 7 partners. I have to send it to 1 partner and say, oh, this person has done a lot of work in telecommunication. I think you'll be a good fit for our TMT team. Oh, I think these guys have done a lot in corporate and tax, so it might be a good fit for this team. So typically, that's what I do, and I'll always recommend that people start not from your first day. Luckily, some firms actually make people rotate compulsorily, and that is one of the best things that can happen to you as a lawyer. It's very, very important. But if you don't, if they don't make you rotate, please don't just box yourself in a corner. Try to learn broadly, but in addition to that, also know what you are looking at. Like I think Chinenye talked about that should be EB. Was it EB talking about how he wanted to do energy? Yeah, but one of us here mentioned I wanted to practice energy practice, and kept on pushing that. So start pushing it, push it online, push it on your LinkedIn, push it on your Facebook, write about it, attend seminars and workshops that are practically on such topics and so on. And then people will know that you are interested. At that point, people are not looking for experience. They just want to see hunger. And once we see hunger, we identify people that are hungry. It's very easy to spot hungry people. And I think that's one of the things that I've stood up for almost everyone that will speak here, is that people saw hunger in them and took a chance on them, like, this person is hungry enough to make a dent in the profession. I think I've spoken for too long, so I'll stop here and allow other panelists speak. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Etido. So, Chinenye, do you have anything to add in terms of how your journey has helped you, get to the current point where you are now?
Hey, okay. It's doing said virtually everything, but I would just say that we're all at different points in our journeys. I personally didn't start out in the big law firms. In fact, I just joined a top tier law firm in 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. So, and what I'm just trying to say, I think the point I just want to add to everything, one other person has said, is that it's never too late, right? It's never, whenever your morning comes, it will come, right? Start from where you are. When I got into Lagos after law school, I moved into Lagos. I got married at the time, and be careful of what you hear, guys, right? Be careful of what people say to you. And I remember someone telling me then, oh, Chine, forget about those big law firms. They will never take you. It's going to be too stressful for you to work. Unfortunately, I believe it. I did. Because, you know, of course, I was just starting life. I just got married and I wanted people to have, um, you know, I wanted to have that family. And then, so I just settled for, oh, and I remember it as a Chinenye, oh, if only I knew. But yeah, I'm sharing my story, so I don't have to go through this stress. So I settled for something very, just very basic, you know, but every day I went to work, I felt dissatisfied. God, I like, what is this? I will always complain. I like, this is not what I want, but I didn't even know how to get out of it. Right? Which is why surrounding yourself with people who are dreamers, who are visionaries is very, very important. As much as I knew I wanted more, but I didn't really have friends. It's good to be intelligent and smart. So I graduated as best graduate student in my university. And you know, even though we lost, I tried my best to get the first class. My friend that we studied together had the first class and I didn't. Oh my god, when I saw my result, I was crying. My dad thought I failed. Like, you know why someone failed? I had a two. When they saw my two, they said shouting and rejoicing. I was crying. And they were like, what is wrong with you, this girl? Well, anyway, it was just so. I'm just trying to tell you that I wasn't as though I was smart, but because I wasn't just positioned in the midst of the right people, I was practically ignorant. Do you understand? So, and I want to tell everyone, you don't just stay in your small section, you know, interact with people. Long and short of the story was I was there for my first follow for my journey, and I was there for a year. I got tired. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I got to another place. Again, that was a different story. But long and short of the story was that when I knew I was done, right, I got to the point where I wanted to know what to do. Again, I started praying about the church. That's what, right, that was my breaking point. And I knew I wanted to do something in energy. And like I said, I didn't know jack about energy. When I mean jack, like I didn't know anything about it. And I remember one of the first things I did was to go online, and I keep saying this to everywhere I go. I type online, what's the history of energy? You know, so I went back as, you know, the history of power in when it's not NEPA, and NEPA was not the first one. There was EC and Energy Commission of Nigeria. I said everything. Oh my god, I was really like a mad woman. But I had to bridge the gap. So it doesn't matter where you are right now, but it might require much more work. It was a lot of work for me. In fact, at a point where I was working, I knew I resigned. My husband was like, why would you resign? You don't have on that job. I said, don't worry, I'll be fine. I stayed at home. And what I was doing, I was just reading. Any conference, energy, I am there. Reading, just trying to build up, you know, and all of that. And it will interest you to know that my current job, I never applied. So in the course of my talking, so people criticize me, what are you saying on LinkedIn? You know, but I was just talking. And let me tell you why I was doing that. Again, I know most of you, many people will not be Christians, but this is, let me tell you what my being on LinkedIn was an instruction, you know. So even though people were laughing at me, in fact, when I didn't have any, most of is very, I don't have any like or comments, that kind of a thing, you know, can be very discouraging. Or it didn't matter. I was an instructional person. I just go, I'll post and run away. Oh my god. I'll post and I just close and I don't want to hear what people say, you know. But consistency was worked. Over time, I just kept showing up. When someone reached out to me, Chinenye, I think you have what it takes and all of that. So here I am. I got into OA, and it was challenging because it was an environment I'd never worked in before, but God pulled me through, and I'm learning, and I'm where I am today. I mean, the trajectory has been God only, but the truth is the matter is that summary, it's not too late. Wherever you are, it is not. If Abraham was how many years old, trust me, it's not too late for you. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, send me over to you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. Sorry, I wasn't sure for a second there. So thank you very much, Chinenye. And you mentioned how hard you had to work to bridge that knowledge gap, and that provides an excellent segue into my next question for Ibiyemi. Ibiyemi, you had mentioned, you had referenced rather how the education that we get at the university and law school level tends to be geared more towards building us up as litigators, right? And that's a sentiment I completely agree with. And it creates a situation where many of us are not necessarily equipped for transactions work when we get into practice. So my question I was going to ask you, which I has tried to touch on now, is how did you close that knowledge gap with respect to the practice areas you ended up choosing? Private equity, I don't think there was any course that I did in my 5 years, 6 years in uni that had anything to do with private equity. All right, so private equity, merger and acquisition, how were you able to close that gap whilst being on the job?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim. So I won't say the learning we had at the university and at law school did not really prepare us for transaction as a transactional lawyer. I won't say so, right? I would say it just provides the foundation to it. It provides the foundation that we can now build on to become an excellent transactional lawyer. So because you agree with me, you also need those years in law school and also, sorry, years in university and also the 1 year in law school to really be a good transactional lawyer. So I won't totally say that it did not prepare me. It did. It provided the foundation, right? So one, the way I was not able to close the gap was one, like what Chinenye said, you need to read, study, and learn. I had to do that because now I'm exposed to corporate law practice, I'm exposed to private equity, I'm exposed to M&E that I know nothing about or little about. So you have to give time to reading, studying, and learning. You can't just, we can't overemphasize that. Even now, currently now, I still do that. I still read, study, and learn because you need to grow every time. So you need to do that. You need to give time to reading, studying, and learning. Then another thing you can also use to be able to bridge the gap is also you can also write on those that have gone ahead, your seniors, your mentors. You can also write on them. They have experience more than you. So, like what Etido said, I'm also someone that likes asking questions. So if I have any difficulty, if I don't understand anything, I'll just go and meet my supervising partner or go and meet my senior associate and tell them, oh, this is it. What is the solution? How will you advise me to do this? And they really provide the necessary guidance, necessary support I need. So that way too, I was able. So for instance, now, like what Etido say, when I also started, and then I was thrown into transaction document SPA. SAT. I was just reading it, reading chat. I don't also understand. Do you get? But when you now go and ask questions, then they now give you, okay, this is why this is it, this is why this is there. Then you now begin to find context, give context to why this is there, and then with that you'll be able to learn. And then another thing I will add is you have to really do the transactions. You have to really advise on the transaction. You get, you can't say you want to bridge the gap if you're not doing what you want to do. So you need to really do it to be able to learn. So consistency also matters. Doing the transactions all over again makes you an expert in it. You get, so you have to really give yourself to doing it. Don't shy away from doing the transactions. You have to do it. Ensure that you really engage yourself in all the stages of the transaction. So doing it also makes you an expert in it. And another thing I will add is you also need to do trainings, go to trainings, do seminar, webinar, yeah, attend conferences, attend trainings. That also help. You get that also help you in also knowing what's the current trend in the market as to your niche, as to your practice area. So that also helps to bridge the knowledge gap that we don't really have from university and law school. I hope that helps.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you very much, Ibiyemi. Even I will be stealing some of that because I'm still in my own learning phase as well. So yes, before as we get up for the end, one last question for Etido would be, and I want to make this as practical as possible because we have students here that might be interested in a specific area, and I know one area that many law students tend to say they have an interest in, thanks to Micros and Abby Specter from Suits, is mergers and acquisitions, M&A. So I'd just like to ask you, do you have any practical tips for anyone that's interested in M&A? How do they start out? What are some of the things to consider? How do they even determine if this is a right fit for them? And as much as possible, if this responses or tips could be extended to, maybe some other practice areas that they're interested in. Because I do know you do mining and a couple of other things too. So as useful as it could be for all these practice areas, we'll be grateful in about just like 5 minutes or less. Thank you.
Thank you, Temi. I think Ibi has said a lot that kind of filters into the question you asked, but I want to emphasize the place of hunger, and I don't know how to describe this with words, but for some of us on the table, you would know hunger when you see one. You have to really, if you want to practice as an M&A lawyer and stand out, it is quite grueling. You need to know what you're doing. You imagine when you're handling deals that what millions of dollars and people's jobs, the economy is depending on what you're doing, and failure to dot your T's, cross your I's will cost the client a lot, cost your firm reputation and everything. So you cannot really just play at it with kids' gloves. So you need to really be passionate about what you want to do. And there is a lot of hard work involved. And I say this because how I started, and maybe just being practical, how I started, the first transaction I worked on and how I was brought into the M&A team in my former firm was that there was a transaction that has been going on, and I was given, after, I think they were just overwhelmed at the point and they just needed someone to do a section of the due diligence work. I can't really remember, but they just gave me something to do. And I just spent my whole day working on it. And I prepared like a summary of the report of what I found, and I gave it to the head of the corporate commercial department then, who looked at it. And after looking at it, she just stood up and went to see the other partner and senior associates working on it and started asking questions. She started asking questions. I just didn't understand what was going on. Up to now, I don't know what was going on, but it felt as if the things I found that maybe it was new or something, I just don't know. But that was how I became a full member of the team, just from that single work. So you would always have opportunities come your way, but it's how well you do how well you deliver on those tasks, and it has to show with the passion you put in. Question everything. A lot of times you have people who don't question things. Because a senior said this is what it is, you don't question it. Question everything. It doesn't matter who says it. You have to question things and put out your own position that you think is correct. Let someone say, oh, I think this is wrong. So you need to carve out a niche for yourself, and people know that you are reliable, you are dependable, and you are trustworthy. And you start now, no matter the level you are, like in school, or if you're still in law school, or you just started practice. Because the nature of our work is very grueling. It's sometimes you work overnight, sometimes you work from morning till night, you work a week stretch, and then you not really have time to rest. And then in all this, you have to deliver error-free agreement, or opinions, and so on. So you can't do it if you don't have the hunger for it. So by all means, read up, communicate with people who have gone ahead, and then hunger. I think that you cannot learn by not when you don't do it, but then you can prepare yourself. So that's true, you cannot learn, but true, not everyone here, or not everyone will finish and have the opportunity to work in places that they are working on M&A transactions. But what it means is that if you are in a place, a law firm, that maybe you're doing litigation and you hear they have one M&A brief, you should say, oh, I want to be part of it. Take the opportunity to just jump on it. If you are somewhere and you see M&A brief crossing by, maybe you're just supposed to write an article, you should be that person that would say, we'll write an article. Temi just mentioned how that he he's aware that I do mining, and I just started doing mining, working on mining transactions in late last year, and we have this weekly knowledge sharing session for in our law firm where we share knowledge, we do knowledge sharing, and then I mean typically you should speak on an area of practice that you are very conversant with, you know that you can say it teach very easily on, but I knew okay, an opportunity for me to learn and review the entire mining act. So I chose a topic from the mining act, and I had to go through the entire mining act regulations, cases, and then made that presentation. At that presentation, I feel like I was a little bit more comfortable with my knowledge of that area. And I mean, like I've looked at almost all regulation, all the laws that contains mine. So I'm just saying how you don't just jump into things and just say, oh, I am an expert. You know, LinkedIn is very easy now. Sometimes people took notes on transactions and say, please to have an 1.5 billion. It comes a time that it will unravel. And then a lot of people, let me just conclude by saying a lot of people think that they can run away from these things by going abroad. It will follow you. No matter where you go to, it is the same thing, you know. You need hard work, you need to be passionate. And I think they even the people, the foreign law firms even recognize hunger more than us. They will look at it and then take it out. Know if you're hungry enough to work with the kind of work they do and to participate. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Etido. Thank you very much. So yeah, one last question for Chinenye as well. And a part of me is asking this question for myself and not really for the rest of the audience. But so one aspect of practice that people don't necessarily about their minds to from the get-go is the business aspect, right? Where as a lawyer, you're also required to bring in business for your firm, bring in clients and all. So Chinenye, I mean, again, I'm familiar with you and I know that you bring in business. So the question is, how do you position yourself and how do you build yourself up to be able to be useful to your law firm, even if it's your own outfit ultimately, but to be able to bring in business and prove yourself to be worthy on the business end of things and not just the technical end. Essentially, how do you become a rainmaker or a specter?
Okay, thank you so much, Timmy. So I think it's about I think the starting point is to always look for ways to add value wherever you are. So you're in an organization. What are the things that are important to them? Yes, good work is good. That's one part, but I also know that they also value it bringing in business. That's two. And then another thing again is that you have an eye where you want to be, right? Hey, I know there are requirements to get you there. So you have to then begin to position and plan how to get you there. So there's a point. I remember one of my partners called it, you know, at this phase of your life right now, it's no longer technical work. You have to do much more than technical work. And that's the truth. So your first few years as a career person, okay, doing well, associate, you're moving and moving, but a point to come, everybody knows, okay, yeah, you know what you're doing, but how much money can you put on the table? You know, and that's what that determines the next stage. So this is how it works. Now, again, you have to know, you know, some people are very connected. Their parents are down good, they have all the connections. But when you know yourself, you don't have that kind of background. You have to build the name that your children will carry. Well, that's what I'm just trying to say is that you have to know how this works. So this is how I see it. Business comes out of relationship. And when you have your client, whether as an associate, right, treat them as friends. I don't know, but it's something I just started doing right from time. Even when I was an associate, when I have my client and I interact, oh my God, how are you doing? How's your day? Let them know you are more interested in their well-being, much more than just the work. Sometimes they will annoy me. Oh my God, you know, you have annoying clients. Oh my God, but I'll still smile. Oh, no problem. You know, that kind of thing. They'll call me over weekends. I don't like it, but oh my God, I'll be like, so the truth of the matter is that they will love you. Okay, let me give you an instance. There's this lady, one of the Mondays I was, God help me to bring in, because I cannot, this one is divine, I don't even know how to explain it. I met her at a conference and we spoke and we got talking and all. She knows my, interestingly, she knows my bosses. She has met them on one location or several locations or before. But she wanted to bring a mandate to the firm. Because of the way we interacted when we went when I attended that conference, she reached out to me like, Gina, I want to bring this in. And she brought it through me. And she remember that she could have easily have called my bosses, but she didn't. So I'm just trying to say, be a very good, have great interpersonal relationship. When you attend conference, don't just go and sit down in one corner and be looking around and smiling. Interact with people. I'm very intentional with this. Interact with people, mix up with people, spark, get contact. Don't just get any kind of contact. Very strategic with this. So you look at the MD of that company, look at HR, look at the business development manager, and here you target those ones. Go and smile up to them. So once you're done, collect their cards. I'm very strategic, like I said. After when I'm done, I can come back home with my cards and analyze who is worth my time and who is not worth my time. By the time I identify like 4 or 5 of them, I just chat them up. Please, can we have a drink? Sometimes I have to spend my money. Yeah. Like, okay, yeah, let me take you out for lunch. Depends if you pay. So you yourself, you carry your money and you pay. But you know that you deposited something. Do you understand? So I think what I just essentially is that first be very, very intentional about building relationship and network. Be very intentional. When you get the contact, nurture it. You have to nurture relationship, nurture it. The way you nurture a baby. Then that's two. And then thirdly, when you have those relationships, don't be your initial step shouldn't be what you get from them. Look for what you can give them. Sometimes like, okay, if you have any business, just talk to me, it's fine. You don't want to know how many free advice I'm giving on people reaching out on me on LinkedIn. But the truth matter is that once you keep doing that, you become top of mind for them. For a particular one guy called me one day, like, Chinenye, I want to get a disco, I want to invest in a disco. Well, I spoke for 30 minutes, giving advice. But the truth of the matter, the guy at the end he said, Chinenye, thank you so much that someone believed in my dreams. And he had a project. He called me. We brought in one of the clients you're actually dealing with in the firm. So you have to go out of your way to let these people know you're actually interested in them, follow them or be interested in their child is celebrating a birthday. Hello, happy birthday to your child. Oh, you might not like it, but don't worry, it's fine. Just still part of the process. Okay, so I guess that's what it is for me. Just be intentional, build network, nurture them, add value to them, and of course, when you do that, you always be top of mind.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Chinenye. Thank you very much, everyone.
I'm leaving. Bye,
Yes,
everybody.
yes, fine. That's fine. Thank you very much, Chinenye. So we're closing out the panel anyways.
Okay.
But I just want to take one question from the chat. But Chinenye, it's fine. You can leave. The question is for Ibiyemi.
You know what? I can't okay, all right. I can just take 2 more minutes so that I'll be fine.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
Ibiyemi, someone has asked in the chat box for your perspective about having an area of interest while still in the university or in school generally, even before they get into practice. So they want to know, is this too fast? Is it better for them to wait till they get into practice? What's the ideal time to start framing a preferred practice area?
I won't say there's really an ideal time. I won't say so. So if you know this is what you want to be your niche at the university stage, all well and good. That's even perfect. That's good. So you tailor everything you do towards that niche. And like what Etido said, he started writing articles even while from school. Temi also mentioned that you were involved in Motamok and all this competition. If that is your niche and you've channeled it at university, that's even better, right? And but I would just advise is like everyone has said, to be open as well. Try and test the waters too. Don't limit yourself to only one path. The fact that I'm doing private equity and M&A doesn't mean I'm not doing other practice area. And like what Chinenye just said, to see the law is also business. You need to also bring in business and bring in business for the firm as well. So I would say there's no timing to it. If you get the niche at while you're in school, all well and perfect. And if you get it also while you're in practice or when you start in a law firm, that's also good. So there's no specific timing, I would say.
All right, thank you very much, Ibiyemi. Big thanks to Ibiyemi, to Etido, and to Chinenye. Chinenye gave us our keynote speech and still stayed for the panel, so we're very grateful. Thank you all for the knowledge you shared to us, for sharing your stories, your experience, your tips, and the expos for people to be able to leverage on and position themselves for opportunities and a blissful career. So you've made it possible for us to have a successful day one of this career fest, and we're most grateful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. So before I hand over to Tai to continue as we close out, I've been asked to just give an insight into what we have in stock for you tomorrow. So today, this panel, we started out with the keynote speech on generally being an exceptional professional. And now we've had a panel session that tried to speak to a pathway or career path in transactions. But we do recognize that there's so much more to being a lawyer. There's so many different pathways, so many different trajectories that one could have, right? And that's why, as part of our career fest, we're trying to look at each of these different pathways and career paths, right? And that's why tomorrow we're having two more panels. The first panel tomorrow will speak to traditional skills. These are these new age applications. So how are we able to apply the skills that we've gained all through uni, all through law school, and the different activities we participate in, in uni and law school, towards the emerging areas of law? So fintech, startups, and entertainment, IP generally, whilst also looking at traditional areas of practice such as dispute resolution and academics, for those of you that want to join the academia. So if you have any interest in any of these things, you should be here tomorrow. And immediately after that, we'll also be having a panel session on transferable skills. Because I have a lot of friends that went to uni with me and law school with me, but have not practiced law a day in their life. I'm sure Ibiyemi does as well. I'm sure Etido and Chinenye also have friends like that. So it's common to find that lawyers go into other fields, right? And for those of you who find yourself in this situation where you're not even certain you ever want to step into a courtroom, or you want to start doing transactions like the panelists we had today. So tomorrow's panel will give you some insight into how transferable your skills are and some of the areas that you could be looking to explore. So we have people that have done different things: politics, media, social impact, in-house roles, C-suite roles, etc. So we hope that you are as enthusiastic tomorrow as you were today, and keep the fire burning. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for attending today's session. I'll hand over to Tai to take this forward. Thank you all.
We thank our speakers and everyone else for joining this meeting. From Chinenye to Ibiyemi to Etido, we learned a lot. Please react once again to show your appreciation. So if you would like to be a part of the TELSQ community, it's for law students. And trust me, beyond having a career fest like this, we share various amazing opportunities on the group chat. Members of the chat can attest to it. It's not a matter of what you ordered versus what you get. It's tested and trusted. So if you like to join the TELS queue, that's the Exceptional Law Student Society WhatsApp group, please you'll find the link in the chat box. So you can just click on it and join that. So one of the advantages of joining a session early is that you don't miss out on anything. So please click out the link and then you can also go ahead to join the WhatsApp group. We would also forward the link for tomorrow's session to your emails. You will get it if you registered, you will get it in your emails. And for those on the WhatsApp group, as usual, you also get it in the WhatsApp group. And during the meeting as well, we'll also share the link for those that want to join in but were unable to register. And finally, a special thank you to you for joining in. For those that joined in early, some people joined in before 4:30. We saw you. We saw you. Thank you so much for joining in. And we would call it a wrap from here. We'll be meeting tomorrow by 4:30 p.m. when the session starts. Sorry, apologies, by 4 p.m. when the session starts tomorrow. Please come with your notes, your questions, and you will definitely learn a lot. So once again, the link to the WhatsApp group is in the chat box. If you would like to join the community before the call ends, you can just check the WhatsApp group and you can join that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Meet again by tomorrow. And then one more thing, in the spirit of networking, just briefly, yes, so while you're joining the WhatsApp group, please drop your LinkedIn URL in the chat box so people can connect with you. Please, it's not just about connecting and looking at the page and just clicking the link. Like as speaker said earlier, he said you can also look through their LinkedIn profile to see how they got to where they are, their education, did they get into Chinenye Ajayi immediately after law school, like the phases they went through, and then you can apply it to yourself if it's something you want. So drop your LinkedIn URL in the chat box so we can connect with you, we can get to meet you, and we can see what you're doing as well. Thank you so much. So we'll just do that briefly, and then for those that want to join the community, you can do that. And with all of this, we bring today's session to a wrap. Once again, thank you very much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow by 4 p.m. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Oh, please, how can we join the WhatsApp group? Someone said something about the WhatsApp group.
Okay, just a minute. I would share the link to join the group chat now.
Oh, okay. You should see the link in the chat now. One
Okay,
second.
okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, the link is pinned in the chat box, so you'll be able to join the community. Apologies for earlier, but you'll find the link in the chat box. It's been pinned, so you can easily access it. So we just need to call on for a brief few seconds so you can click the link if you're yet to or you had issues finding it. So just click the link and you'll be added to the WhatsApp group. You'll be able to join in, so you won't miss out on any updates or any other programs we have. Thank you.